Foreign exchange trading carries a high level of risk that may not be suitable for all investors. Before you decide to trade foreign exchange, carefully consider your investment objectives, experience level, and risk tolerance. You could lose all of your initial investment. Educate yourself on the risks associated with foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent advisor if you have any questions. All information is solely for educational and entertainment purposes and is not trading or investment advice. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Hello everyone, this is Hugh, and welcome to another episode of the Trading Lifestyle Podcast brought to you by TradingHeroes.com. Before we begin this interview, I just want to note that most of the interview questions that I would typically ask a guest on this show have already been asked in a previous interview. That interview can be found on 50's blog, and we'll talk about that a little later. And I'll also put in a link in the show notes where you can check that out. Therefore, I've referenced that interview, and I won't be asking those questions. But if you want to find out more about 50, please check out the recording. However, this does give me the unique opportunity to delve a little deeper into what it takes to put yourself in a position to be successful in Forex trading. So just to give you a little background on 50 before we get started, 50 Pips is the alias that he chose to use online, mostly to protect his privacy. And he also wanted people to focus on his trading advice and not so much on his personal life. He trades his own account for a living, and he also mentors people on how to trade. So I'm very happy to have on the show the one and only 50 Pips. Thanks for taking the time out to do this, 50.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on the show again. It's really my pleasure. I'm, more than happy to give you the time and help anybody out. I mean, just one note, it's because I see your blog's called Trading Heroes, so I think it should be clear, but I'm absolutely not a hero, right? It's just I'm just a humble student of price action and market psychology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just doing my thing, trying to pay it back, trying to help some people out. So again, thank you for taking the time and for coming up with the questions and doing something different to what had already been done. So let's do it.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure. Yeah, so I guess the first question is, when you mentor other traders, what are the biggest mistakes that you see them making?
I think the issue with me is that I tend to be pretty selective with the type of person I take on to work with on a one-to-one basis. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's a recurring mistake or there's one big mistake everybody's doing. So that really depends. I'd probably say that if it weren't for the selection process, I think that one of the biggest mistakes that aspiring traders do is that they think they know what they're doing before they actually do. And that usually leads to trading too big and too much leverage. And as everybody should know and probably knows deep down, size kills, right? So it's very easy to get lucky in this business, and then you get fooled into thinking that this is easier, that you're actually good. But just like any other profession, if you want to be good and have something that's sustainable, you need to work hard, and it takes time. So, that's what I would say, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very interesting. So kind of on the flip side, what are the traits that you see most often in people who do become successful?
I think really it's understanding what the business is about and having a mentality that you always want to learn. You're always trying to better yourself. Mm-hmm. In terms of specific traits, I'd say it's really about being patient, humble, realistic with your expectations, detached from the day-to-day ins and out, and being in it for the long run. But you got to be a hard worker and willing to put in the work.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess part of that putting in the work is figuring out what type of trades or what type of system works with your personality. What kind of advice do you have for people on the fastest way to figure out what's the best time frame or style for their personality?
Yeah, I think that's really important, but I would just say as a side note, I think that's almost secondary. I think there's people tend to go into thinking, okay, they start thinking they're going to trade, and they go, okay, well, how much am I going to trade Am I going to do this as a business? And am I going to set up as a corporation? How am I going to transfer my funds? What yacht am I going to buy? And then they think what you said, how should I trade? And then finally they try and understand what's going on. So I'd say the first thing really is the first advice is to try and understand what this business is about, what a lot is, what leverage is, how the market tends to work, just the bigger picture, right? Then in terms of it's not really about the fastest way. It's just really about taking the time to learn those basics and then try to integrate those with your personality, and not necessarily try and copy what other people are doing. And don't think there's any specific or right way to trade. There's no single way to trade. There's a lot of different ways to trade. There's always a different side of the coin. There's always opposing trades in the market, and both trades can get paid at the same time, or in the same day, depending on how you trade them. So of course you need to factor in your personality traits, and if you're really laid back and zen, you're not going to be trading a 1 minute chart. Or if you're somebody who's really impatient, there's no point trying to learn a system where you take setups off a weekly chart, right? But really the biggest advice I say is really, before going, try and look at the bigger picture first and then start to drill down, right?
Okay, cool. Very great advice. This question is just out of personal curiosity. I just wanted to see approximately what percentage of the people you mentor want to do it full time.
I'd say pretty much 100%.
Really?
It depends. I mean, let me think about it. I think I could probably think over the years of one student that was looking to do this to complement his income, and he was very happy with what he was doing. But I would say ultimately, everybody pretty much wants to do this full time. And again, the people I tend to take on in a one-to-one, and I follow for a longer period, are the guys that want to do this full time. But I'd say ultimately, once you see this works, especially if you can do it, the natural tendency is to want to go full time. But or maybe that's just the kind of people that contact me. But I'd say pretty much 100%.
Okay, interesting. So of those people who do make it and do become successful traders, what's the average time that it takes for them to get to that point?
I mean, that's really an impossible question to answer. I mean, do you mean trading full time and that's it? Trading full time and profitably? Trading full time and making some additional income? Trading full time and supporting a family of 6 kids and a yacht? It depends on your capital, your needs. There's so many things to factor into that. Everybody's situation is different. So,
maybe just to profitability, how long would it take, or does it usually take for somebody to become profitable?
I mean, okay. Well, profitable is different to being able to sustain a family, right?
Yeah,
of course,
correct.
Which is very different. But I think then you're talking about once you start, the important thing is to try and find systems that you're going to want to test, and then you want to take live. And I wouldn't take anything live that you haven't been able to trade profitably demo. But I think there's pretty much any kind of system you want to demo. You should be in a position to know whether that's profitable in a couple of months or 3 months, right? Then if it's not, you might go demo for more to find something different, or you might want to demo it for longer just to feel comfortable. But so it really depends again.
I see. Okay, fair enough. So that brings up the question: do you have your students? You obviously have them demo and forward test, but do you have them do any back testing also?
To a certain extent, yes. I'm not a massive fan. Okay. I think really it's to check some stuff out, to get a feeling for some kind of indicators or some kind of trends or how things happen, it's great, right? But if you're talking about demoing or testing something, you need to do it like a full dress rehearsal, right? If you're listening for a play. So I really think you need to do it in a, again, full dress rehearsal in live conditions. And because you really need to factor in the emotions, the dead time, the waiting for the trade to set up, the external influences, the news, whatever, your wife bugging you, you having a bad day, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You need to do it live. And that's also why so many people go, oh, I don't understand. I was back testing. It was really profitable. I went live and it didn't work, right? Or,
Yeah.
you know, was it a proper dress rehearsal, right? Were you doing it in the exact same conditions, exact same strategy, exact same lot size for your account size, etc.? You know, it needs to be a proper dress rehearsal, right? So to answer your question, because I tend to talk a lot sometimes, but
No worries.
to answer your question concisely is, do I get to? Yes, but I think that it serves a specific need, and that's to get a feeling for stuff. If you're demoing something, I'd like it to be live.
I see. Okay, so you just have to understand the limitations of the
Yeah.
back testing. Yeah. Okay, cool. I guess along those lines also, do you have people just demo with play money, or maybe just put a little bit of money in the account and simulate the real market conditions a little more?
Well, you know, for me, the real market conditions are simulated whether there's money or not, right? The only variable that changes from pure demo to live is how your mind, how your psychology reacts to it being real money as opposed to monopoly money. But I think you need to be disciplined to make the demo count too, because if you want to do this for your whole life, or you want to make a career out of this, and you're thinking, oh, if it's not real, I'm not going to you know, if you can't focus and make it count on demo because it needs to be real, then, you know, it ain't going to happen, right? It's I always tell students, Joe, it's kind of like the guys who say, no, demo is not for me. I need to. It's kind of like, I don't know, first year med student, they have to do an autopsy, and he's going, no, bring me a live person. I'm not going to focus. Or some biology class when they're 14 and the teacher wants to dissect a toad, and he goes, no, I want a human being. You know, you can't. You know, you have to work gradually, right? But and then once you're confident with a demo, then you take it live and you start to scale it up. Of course, you don't go full all in, right? Then you start small and you scale it up. But I think everything has a process. Everything has a proper and slow and steady and consistent road to success.
Okay. Very interesting. Is there a particular point where you recommend people to start trading with real money, or is it just kind of, you know, they need to make that decision on their own?
You mean in terms of money or in terms of time demo?
In terms of money, like when should they shift from demo to real trading?
So with how much money or how much they'd be making, or
at what point do you recommend that they do that?
well, I think there's two, you know, there's one thing is that it depends from person to person, but you also don't want to be demoing for so long that then you start to get paralyzed and scared of going live, right?
Yeah.
So I think in general, if you're trading a system, what you'd like to see is you'd like to see a couple of months profitable. What I like to see is a month negative where you have a bad month, and to see how you respond even in demo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I like to see. So I like to see a bit of a cycle, and then you can go live, right? And in terms of you know, also in terms of money and capital, that, you know, that also depends. You know, you're going to hear me say it depends a lot, okay? And it goes back to the initial question. There's just people tend to want a quick and easy, definitive answer to questions that are not really quick and easy, but are quite complex, right?
Yeah.
And in general, they're a lot more complex and not as black as white as a lot of people think they are. It would be a lot easier for me just to be very dogmatic and give you an answer. You know, how much percentage of my account should I risk? Bam, that much. What starting capital. That,
Yeah.
that's it. I'm so calm. That would be so much easier for me. It would be so much easier for me. But that's just me. That's not the way I roll. If I give an answer, because I know people, if they ask me something, they're kind of listening to the answer. And I feel a responsibility to give them a proper answer, also because the general state of this industry and all the snake oil salesmen around, all that stuff. So I feel a responsibility to give a proper answer. That's why people end up thinking I'm difficult and I don't want to give an answer. And that couldn't be further from the truth. It's just I'm really, I don't want to sound weird, but I care. I want to give a proper answer. So if somebody asks me a very specific question or something, I'll do my best to answer. But I don't want to make it general, because then people end up making a list of a bunch of general points with general answers and think they know stuff. And it's not that easy, right?
Yeah, great point. It really depends on the individual situations, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, normally, if you have 3 months demo, profitable, good, you've had a bad month, you could be good to start. But maybe some people, even though they're ready to start, they just need a bit more confidence and they'll want to go demo for a bit longer, right? Some people have been trading for many years, but they're just trying to refine something. So they'll go back to demo and they might be okay just demoing for a month or 5 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with capital, when to go live. Some people are just want to have some additional capital and trade very low leverage. Some people are going to make a living out of it, so they're going to have to trade with a big. They're going to have a bigger account to go live if they want to make a living and support a family. It really depends on. Some people need some parts of the world with $1,000 a month, they'll live like kings. In other parts, they're going to need 15 grand to live, right? So it really depends, right?
Yeah, great points. Great points. So I guess one question that I get a lot is, people revenge trade, and that's a common weakness in beginning traders. Is there anything you recommend to overcome that?
Yeah, don't do it. You need to be you have to learn to be detached from the market and from the outcome of any day or trade, right? And usually that's achieved by responsible use of leverage, tends to solve this problem, and also not adding to losing trades. Again, you have to understand that no single day no single trade is going to define you as a person or as a trader. It's about consistency and longevity, as I like to say. So just step back. Don't, okay, now people are going to get mad, but you don't want to be the guy shouting in front of your screens on his 12th Red Bull. The world is against him. The broker is against him. It's all a conspiracy. It just because you're in a bad trade and you don't want to accept the responsibility for your action. You got into a bad trade. Well, guess what? Everybody does. Nobody wins 100% of the time. Most profitable traders are more than happy with a 50-50 win rate, because then they make up for it with the average. They win a lot more when they win than when they lose, right? It's not about all or nothing, right? So you need to step back, be detached. That's the only way you can stop that.
Ah, I see. Okay, great point. I mean, keep the bigger picture in mind, right?
Yeah, it's just a trade.
Yeah.
But again, you can't think like that if you're leveraged like a crazy man or a crazy woman, right?
Yeah.
If you're leveraged like hell, it's finished, because you don't want to cut your trade, because if you cut your trade, all of a sudden you've got so little in your account, there's no way you're going to be able to take that size position again. How am I going to get it back? And it's a nightmare, right? The size kills, leverage kills, especially when you don't. Yeah, size kills when you know what you're doing. Look at long-term capital management. Look at all the big funds that, size kills. The big guys, the good guys in brackets, right?
Yeah.
Or the so-called professionals. So imagine what it does to aspiring traders.
Totally, great point. Yeah, another thing I guess that I know you recommend is keeping a journal of your trades. So, what are some important things that people should concentrate on when they journal, and how often should they review it?
I mean, it really depends, but I think what I would say is that you don't want to, you can find so much stuff on the internet, all these things that will calculate to the nth degree. It's like you're some kind of NASA science student or NASA engineer,
Yeah.
and it's just useless, right? And then you get all these things that you just give me $15 a month and you'll link with, oh God, I'm going to get in trouble with everybody. But anyway, you link with your broker and it's just going to feed stuff in and keep it simple. You want to review your journal every month. If you have limit down and limit down day, limit down week, you want to keep a stab on that. But usually, monthly review is okay. It depends on who you are and how you trade. But then just make sure you put in the stats yourself and make sure you understand what those stats are. Any stat that's there that you don't understand what it means, or you don't understand how it impacts your results, or you don't understand how you can use it to improve your results, just get rid of it. There's no point. Keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
So, you look at the percentage win rate. You want to look at how much you win when you win. You want to look at how much you lose when you lose. Maybe certain days of the week, how you're doing. If you have different trade setups, you might want to compare those. Just but keep it simple and actionable.
Yeah, yeah. Great advice. So this is another question I get a lot. What if somebody has a solid track record, but they just lack the capital to go full time? What kind of options do they have, or what would you recommend?
Best is really just slow and steady, build your account. It's tricky. Borrowing money or levering up or trading other people's money, borrowing your family's money, it usually doesn't end well. Sorry, you might hear, 1 out of 100, but it's tricky because it brings in a whole nother set of psychological issues or stress maybe. You can look at prop shops or other outfits like that, but usually all these outfits know that you ain't got any cash, right?
Yeah.
So usually whatever service they're offering tends to favor them and not you. Okay. So some people might really be strapped for cash, and you might get a good prop firm that's giving you maybe a 50-50 or a 60-40 split on your profits, but you can be sure that they're charging you for all your trades, right? So I still think the best is to build up your account. Now, it's not always possible, but usually, especially with the leverage involved, if you're good, you should be able to build up your account. It just means you're going to have to be patient. Then some case by case, there might be options, but it really depends on what that option is. I don't think there's really a miracle cure, miracle thing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So just, slow and steady wins the race, I guess.
But if you have a really good track record, and I mean really good, and solid track record, it shouldn't be that difficult to find cash if you want to run cash. But the problem is, again, I don't want to get in trouble, but if you're a smaller trader and you have a really good track record and you're trading a small account, whether that's a 1K account, a 10K account, or a 20K account, if you're saying, okay, I want to go to a prop firm or something, or I want to get 200, 400K, a million, big money to manage. Usually the trading setups are not always scalable to bigger money. And when you find people that are giving you bigger money, they want a system that's scalable. And sometimes the systems are not scalable. And sometimes it's very tricky to see a track record, somebody that's been trading, say, 10, and for you to make sense to give them money, you've got to give them 100 or 1,000 because you don't know how psychologically they're going to respond. So even if you have a good track record, it's going to be tricky to find serious money to give you a lot more than you're already managing, because how are you going to, is it scalable, and how you're going to do it psychologically. So even there, you'll have to prove yourself again and scale it up.
Okay.
Just think you're going to trade with a micro account, get 6 months of good results, and find millions to manage, right?
Yeah. There's a lot more.
As most, we laugh, but the internet, what social media, what the internet, what all these sites do is they tend to promote this, and they make people think that you can make a living off a micro account. 6 months profitable is a great track record, all this stuff just to push the dream, just to keep the dream alive, and just to sell stuff and generate commissions, right? And that's not what it's all about.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. Um, so maybe we can get a little more philosophical here. Uh, how important do you think it is to have like a big why when it comes to trading? You know, reason for making all this money.
Well, assuming you're making all the money, of course,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
I think the money is a consequence of a job well done,
Hmm.
of respecting your rules or whatever. And I, at least in my opinion, I think it's a means to an end, right? It should
Hmm.
not be an end in itself.
Hmm.
Uh, Otherwise, life gets pretty sad, shallow, and boring. I suspect, right?
Yeah.
And I think over time and over history, very few great sustainable and long-lasting feats, enterprises, whatever have been done or accomplished with the sole pursuit of money. Money has always been a byproduct of
Hmm.
excellence, of doing something well. And as long as it's a byproduct, it's okay. When it becomes a means, then you do things for the wrong reason. It's not, so I think you need to keep things real, right?
Hmm.
And in terms of me personally, yeah, I just want to be master of my own destiny. I just want to be self-sufficient, right? It's as simple as that.
Cool. Very cool. Um, I guess going back to that point you're talking about all the information on the internet and stuff like that. Um, is there anything you can recommend to people about finding a balance between listening to good information and maybe just listening to too much stuff and getting overloaded?
Yeah, I think, it's tricky. You can always look at who I follow on Twitter, but then again, that's just my follows,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And it could be interesting or not interesting for you. I think as a general comment is just to keep it useful, right?
Hmm.
Keep it useful and positive. And if you're going to have something on your feed, it has to be something positive and useful and not noise.
Hmm.
Uh, you have to make a difference between work and play, right? And I would say don't fall into the social hype of getting all excited, too involved, right?
Hmm.
You you have the luxury to choose all your inputs and influences, right?
Hmm.
In life, and here's 50 getting philosophical, right? But in life or in work, you don't have that luxury, right?
Hmm.
You're you're born in the family you're born. You might not like everybody, but tough luck, right? You have the neighbors you have. You might not like them. Tough luck. You go to work. You've got the boss. You've got the colleagues. You can't choose though. Tough luck. You have to adapt, right?
Hmm.
Now, if you're going to be a trader in the comfort of your own office with your screens or whatever, you have a huge luxury. You can create your own ecosystem. You can decide the only inputs that come to you. You can decide those. Who am I going to follow? Who am I going to listen to? What am I going to read? Right?
Hmm.
So take advantage of that and only follow stuff or people that are positive influences and not negative, and stuff that's useful, not noise, right?
Hmm.
Take advantage of that luxury. A lot of people don't want to take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's a great point. They kind of just let everything come in and they think they should listen to
Yeah.
it all, you know. Are there like if somebody maybe if somebody's just starting out, they don't know who to follow online, are there maybe like two or three people that you would recommend most people starting out with?
Um, Again, you can check my follows,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But again, it depends. What are you doing? Are you trading the majors? Are you trading yen pairs? Are you interested in the indexes? It really depends,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
It depends on so many things. If you want some, I would say stick to official news sources so you get unbiased information.
Hmm.
Though I don't think, that would be a topic for a 2 hour conversation if it's any use to listen
Yeah.
or Mr. Journalist, but I again, but you might want the banter. You might want to follow somebody because he's funny or she's funny. You might want to follow some fashion thing or some sports stuff because it gets your mind off things during the day.
Hmm.
just keep it positive, but it really depends. I fell into the trick or the trap at the beginning. I was following a bunch of people. And to a certain extent, it's a bit sad, right? Because I got too involved. And so I just unfollowed a bunch of people. People got mad and whatever. And sometimes I really miss, it's a real shame because I met a lot of nice people, a lot of really nice people online, and I really enjoyed the banter. And sometimes I really miss it, but it was affecting my concentration, and I'm at work, right? So this is my job, this is my business, I'm at work. So I had to cut it down simply because I was getting distracted. So different people can tolerate different levels of distractions, right? So up to you, really, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Great point. Yeah. Great point. So maybe we can drill down a little bit more into how you trade and what you do. I know from your last interview that you mentioned that you primarily trade Fibonacci retracements. Why do you think Fibos work?
Well, fibs aren't magical, okay? There's just full disclaimer, disclosure, there's no Da Vinci Code kind of thing, okay? It's really not magical. It's not, there's nothing magical. Anybody who tells you there's a secret level, there's a secret EMA, there's a magical, just run. It just doesn't exist, right? I like the fibs because they fit my view of the normal ebb and flow of the market in terms of healthy moves, in terms of retracements, extensions, and they work to me as a framework around some of my trading. But there's no right or wrong way to look at it. And I don't only use fibs, but fibs are just a good way to have a framework and have some support and resistance levels. But again, if you're going to use fibs, I could write a book on all the charts you see people just completely using stuff wrongly or trade. Whatever you put on your chart, try and understand what it means, what it says, and how to use it. But essentially, fibs are just support and resistance levels, and there's many ways of trading it. There's people who use them to trade the trend. There's people who use them to fade the trend. There's people to use them to get into counter trend trades. So, but I just like the structure and the non okay, I'm lost for non-subjective levels, right?
Okay.
If I'm fibbing a move from a swing high to a swing low, or a weekly move or a daily move, and you're fibbing it, assuming we're looking at the same chart, it's not possible that we do it differently, right? It's not subjective. If I tell you, draw a fib from the high print euro today to the low print today, if we have the same chart, it's not subjective, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it. I'm not a big fan of subjective stuff, so patterns, drawing stuff. I prefer things which are not subjective.
Oh, okay, cool. Was there ever a point where you felt like giving up on trading?
Not really. No. I'm not saying there weren't very hard times, and I was running money and stuff. So I think there's definitely times where a lot of people may have stopped or jumped out of a window, but it's just not me, right? I love this too much, and bottom line is I'm not a quitter, right? It's like golf. If you're playing stroke play or medal play, you grind out. You ain't picking up the ball, right? Every shot counts. Finish. If it's going to take you 50 shots to finish the par three, you're going to hit 50 shots. You're going to finish it. You don't give up, right? That's also why a lot of people don't like to play stroke play.
Yeah.
They play Stableford or something. But it's just not me. So there have been very hard times, of course, but I've never thought of giving up trading. No.
Very cool. Very cool. How much of a factor do you feel that like diet, health, and exercise play in successful trading?
You need to eat clean and stay fit. Makes a world of difference, at least in my book, right? Especially if you're looking to do this for the long run. And, like the Latin saying goes, healthy mind and a healthy body. I believe it's very important, especially because training is very sedimentary. So, you're in front of you're slouched in your chair, and, before it's just, you need to be awake, right? You need to be awake, you need to be responsive. and that comes being fit also. Where I think it's very important.
Oh, okay.
So don't I have a standing desk, so I try to stand most of the time. I think it's important.
Nice. Along the same lines, do you do any type of meditation or mind calming exercises?
Mind calming, no. Assume you need that if you're over leveraged, but you know, uh, no need to get excited, right?
Hmm.
It's just another day in the office, and I've worked very hard to learn to be detached, and it's taken me time. So I'm very detached from it all. So for me, there's no need, in terms of visualization. I look at my charts, and if I have to chill, I've got music, but that's about it. I really don't know. The short answer is no.
Oh, okay. So you kind of just baked it in over the years, basically.
I mean, whatever works for you,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But for me, it's a chart, right? Price
Hmm.
goes up, price goes down. You have a level you want to get in, a level you want to get out. If it works, level you want to get out. If it doesn't work, and you hit it, you execute.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
I don't need to to meditate, visualize, or calm myself. I know what I need to do, and I'm doing it, right?
Cool. Very cool.
That's it.
Yeah. How much of your account do you risk on each trade?
I really don't work like that. For me, it's a question of risk reward,
Okay.
right? It's a question of risk reward, and it's a question of total portfolio risk on all the things I may have open and I'm managing.
Hmm.
So I work in a different fashion, so I don't have a percentage fixed amount I risk on each trade at all.
Oh, okay. Cool. I'm glad I asked that question. Um, if you were to start over, what would you do differently?
I don't want to sound arrogant, but probably nothing, right?
Hmm.
I'm not saying that by doing things differently, I could have most certainly had a lot less pain and an easier time.
Hmm.
But fundamentally, I wouldn't be where I am today. Well, I might be better, who knows, right? But I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't have learned what I've learned today if it wasn't thanks to my journey, right?
Hmm.
So I've never been big on regrets. I'm really about looking at the future. You learn from your experiences, you move on, you do the best you can every day, every specific chance you have to make a decision, and then you just live with it. You accept accountability for your decision, and the way you move on defines how you evolve as a trader, as a person, and it's what makes you what you are. So I wouldn't change anything really.
Oh, wow, very cool. Um, I know you mentioned that you kind of, when you sit down, you just look at the charts and everything, but is there anything that besides playing music that you do in your free time to take your mind off trading?
I think I don't really need to take mind off. You mean free time in front of the charts or when I'm not at my desk?
When you're not at your desk.
I don't really need to take time off of my mind off trading, right? I
Hmm.
mean, I'm addicted to golf. A lot of people know, complete junkie.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I'm very serious about my diet. I'm very serious about working out. The usual books, family. I'm a foodie, uh, the usual stuff. But I don't really feel I need to take my mind off trading, right?
Ah,
Um, at least not for me personally.
yeah, yeah. Okay, cool.
I'm kind of full on, full off kind of guy.
Uh-huh.
So I'm in front of my screen. I'm 100%.
Hmm.
I'm 100% from Sunday night. Well, not 100% Sunday. Sunday night, I just do my pay it forward and I record my video or I do my webinar. But
Hmm.
for that hour, I'm full on. Then it's back to weekend, and then I'm full on. Monday to Friday from the moment I get to my desk, the moment I leave my desk, I'm full on. When I'm not at my desk, I'm full off,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Weekend, it's off. No email, no internet. I'm just off, right? It's
Hmm.
just so I really don't need to. I'm just on and off, so I
I
don't
see.
think about.
I see. Okay. Um, I know in the previous interview you mentioned that you're very inspired by other things outside of trading, such as art and music. Would you mind sharing some of those things that inspire you?
Yeah, I think what we also talked about is they were asking, if there's any here. any hero or anybody I looked up to for inspiration or something by
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
And I'm really inspired, not again, not to sound arrogant, but I'm not inspired by people. And then it's always tricky if you say, "Oh, I look up to this person," then somebody's going to find something bad about that person, and it's just, I'm inspired by accomplishments, by feat. Of course, I like beauty, harmony, nature, music, and stuff. But what really inspires me is commitment, dedication, not giving up, challenges,
Hmm.
being accountable for just being accountable for everything, shaping your future the best way you can. And I like challenges, but any kind of feat when uh, whether it's somebody else or myself, dedication and trying to accomplish something,
Hmm.
I like that. That motivates me. Whether it's myself deciding I'm going to do something in terms of a sports event or something with respect to the gym or something to help somebody, whatever, or somebody else. When you set your mind to something and you work hard for it and you don't give up, and that's what really inspires me.
Ah.
Dedication, plan, wanting to be accountable,
Hmm.
and not accepting things as they are and accepting that you have the power to change things.
Okay. Great point. Um, I guess switching gears a little bit, there's a lot of black box systems and those commercial EAs out there in the Forex market. What do you think of those?
Well, I mean, I could go on for 2 hours. I don't want to do a rap known for, but yeah, I'd say if it worked, would you sell it? And would you sell it for like 9.99 or something?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
some work for certain periods of time,
Hmm.
but you're not going to be self-sufficient, right? So I'd love to have like an automatic pop-up on any of those sites where it says, no holy grail, move on, so nothing to see here. You're going to have to work on money, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's just, again, it's just fueling the dream,
Hmm.
fueling the dream, but
Hmm.
it's just a dream.
Yeah. Just trying to take the easy way out.
It's just doesn't work. Yeah, but some systems and stuff might work, but then the market changes and they don't work. And then what are you going to do? You have to buy something else. You have to, that's not self-sufficient. That's not creating a business. That's not creating a profession for yourself.
Okay. Yeah. I totally agree. Um, what are some of your future trading goals?
Just getting better, really, getting better reading price action, getting better reading the market, getting better with my implementation of what I do,
Hmm.
my management, managing myself, my emotions, just perfecting myself, like golf, no matter how good you are, even if you're a scratch golfer, you've never really mastered the game, right?
Hmm.
You got people who win masters and then can't make the cut for the next 20 years, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's what makes it interesting. So, but I think it's just continuous improvement, really. That's what I want to do, just to get better.
Uh-huh. Ah, very cool. Okay. Um, is there anything that I missed that you would like to talk about?
Not really. Yeah, this is your interview, right? I'm just giving you my time and paying it forwards, right?
Hmm.
So up to you, whatever you want. I'm open. I'm not here to talk anything about myself, what I do. It's just up. It's your interview.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I definitely appreciate you coming on. And just finally, real quick, I just wanted to mention that both of us support Kiva. So if you guys want to find out what that's about and how you can help, you can check out 50's blog, and he has a Kiva link at the top, and that helps support entrepreneurs in other countries. So I just want to really thank you for taking the time out to do this interview. And if they want to learn more about you, where can they find you online?
You got well, if you're looking on Twitter, that's the most active thing. I'll be tweeting up stuff out during the day. And again, I'm not treating I used to. I don't trade out trade calls or recommendations. I really use Twitter to try and help people out
Hmm.
in giving you key levels or key things to look at, right?
Hmm.
But I'm tweeting out throughout the day. I'm tweeting out charts. I'm tweeting out the blog updates, and that's at 50 pips on Twitter.
Hmm.
And then you've got the blog, which is 50pipsfx.com. And again, I take some time to go through it. I think there's a lot of free and useful stuff on it. I think from trade videos to webinar recordings, charts, and it's there. It's just my way of paying it forward. It's all free stuff. Just to have a tour, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's excellent stuff. And I know you mentioned the Sunday webinars. What do you generally discuss on those webinars?
Yeah, well, yeah, I did for about 2.5 years. I used to do a full like 1 hour plus webinar every Sunday, live webinar.
Uh-huh.
And then a lot of people started to say, oh, it's a pain because if I miss it, I have to go through the whole hour and I have to find what can't you just pick out the most interesting things and do a tighter one? So what I've started to do is, so on the first Sunday of every month, I do a 1 hour live session like the old time. So it's just, you don't have to register. You just show up, right? I don't want your email. I don't need to sell you anything. I don't need to send you anything, right? So you just show up. No need to pre-register. If nobody shows up, I don't do it. I don't care, right? If 2 people show up, I'll do it. If 300 people show up, I'll do it. And what we do is just I go through pretty much all the Forex pairs and the indexes, gold, crude, and I look at the chart, what happened last week, and what are the key levels, try to explain what the moves were, and try to explain what the key levels to watch are for the next week and where the shorts and the longs are going to be fighting it out and what I think is likely to happen. And on the other Sundays where I don't do a live webinar, I'll just record a YouTube video. Usually it's 15 minutes and I'll just pick like 4 or 5 charts, the most interesting ones I see for that week, and I'll do the same and then I'll post it on YouTube.
Ah, excellent. Okay. Yes, if you guys are interested, you should check that out. And again, 50, it's been an honor to interview you, and I really appreciate you taking the time out.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's good stuff. I mean, again, thanks. I think it's good that people like you take the time to do this stuff, and if it helps anybody out, it's good. We've done a good deed, so it's paying it forward. It's good stuff. Thank you.
Totally. No problem. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Thank you.
Thanks. You too. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Trading Lifestyle Podcast. If you want to find more interviews, tutorials, and random trading videos, check out tradingheroes.com or follow Trading Heroes on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+.